Welcome to Best Life Ever, the podcast. And we are here with my friend and mentor, Ari Meisel. Hi, Ari.
Hi, Kimmy. Thank you so much. And Pua, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, so great to see you and talk with you this morning. And so Ari, you are I saw this on your website. I like the way that it's phrased. You're a productivity innovator, an author, and the creator of the Less Doing system. And our listeners have certainly heard us mention you before, and we love sharing your peak time app with people. We share that with clients all the time.
Thank you.
Pushing the little thing to see when your peak time is. We love it. It's so fun.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but all your people are like the hackers on them. Like doing like this.
That's right.
You saw that right.
We're going to hack the system.
Well, the thing is that actually that does work. They just have to do that every time.
That's true.
I've learned so much from you, Ari, through the Less Doing Bootcamp and all your resources, and of course through the mastermind. It's just truly an honor to have you here today. And you have such a fascinating story, and I've heard you share about it before. It really, Less Doing really began in 2006 for you when you experienced some unexpected health challenges that really led you to this less doing, more living concept. Can you share a little bit about that with our audience?
Yeah, sure. So I was working in construction. I was building a project in upstate New York in Binghamton. And I was working, it was a very hard lifestyle. I was working 18-hour days some days, very physical work. And at the same time, I was running this project, and I got into a lot of debt when I was 23. And it was just, I wasn't eating well. I was smoking. I mean, it was not taking care of myself. And when I was 23, I basically broke my body in the form of being diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And my health sort of, it had been declining, I guess, but it had started rapidly declining from there on out. And after some really bad bouts in the hospital, I turned things around, and I basically decided to go on an extreme journey of self-tracking and self-experimentation. I got off my meds and went on to compete in Ironman France. And along the way, recognizing the diet, the nutrition, supplements, and the exercise aspects of it are indispensable and really important. But there was a huge and much more difficult to attack element, which was stress. And my response to that was to come up with a systematic way of attacking that stress, which came out in the form of a system of productivity, which I would call Less Doing. And the idea was that the antidote to stress, and I believe, is control. So a lot of the productivity systems, or a lot of the methods in the productivity system, help people sort of regain control in a otherwise overwhelmed world. And so that turned into teaching, classes, consulting, books, which came out with a third book. And about 15 months ago or so, I started a virtual assistant company with my business partner, Nick Sonnenberg. After dinner one night, we basically launched the company 24 hours later with free tools, and we were profitable and scalable from day one. And now we have a team of about 60 people in 14 time zones, servicing 300 clients, providing the most capable virtual assistants in the world. So there you go.
Wow. Hello? Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I wouldn't unmute.
You were muted.
That's the awkward, quiet voice where I actually have no sound at all. So you have a business called Less Doing. You wrote a book called Less Doing, More Living. You have a group of less doists, and clearly you are a big fan of doing less. And I think
you know what? I got to say, and not to interrupt you, but I think I came to the realization that I don't actually want to do less. I want to do as much as possible with as little effort as possible. So that's why the new company is now called Leverage. That's what we do. We probably leverage your time and your resources.
I like it. I like it a lot. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we love to teach people is, do less of the stuff that you don't actually need to do and do more of the stuff that really matters, and really leverage the tools and the time and the resources that you have. And I think a lot of what we teach, we learned from you and your boot camp and your book and all of that. So really, really awesome. And I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit more about this concept, and how you use it in your life to build your business, and to enjoy your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as building the business, like I said, we built the business basically in 24 hours. So we always had this extreme lean mentality, basically, which is to test and validate ideas as quickly as possible, and then and then go with them. So we did that with starting the company. We do that on a constant basis when we're coming up with new ideas and things that we want to do within the company. And I think that I also apply that in my sort of regular life, or my home life too, where we spend a lot. I mean, if I'm not working, I'm basically with my kids and my wife. So those are the sort of two dichotomies. And I'm very compartmentalized as much as I can be. So if I'm working, I am all in and I'm working. And if I'm not working, then I'm really trying to focus on my family as much as I can. And that's very helpful. So it's gives me that sort of mental switch. It's kind of like the opposite of multitasking, right? You're single tasking and know what you're doing at any given time. And that is the one thing that you're going to do as well as you can. So that's a big one. But the crossover there is that outsourcing and delegating is something, and not just delegating tasks, like ideas as well. So no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm working or not, I have a place where I can put any new idea. And I also have a resource where I can go to get anything done, basically, which is almost like, it's like a superpower in some ways. And it's not that it's my superpower, it's something that anybody can have that, but that is a big thing. If I have an idea, I don't have to hold on to it. I don't have to think about it. I know where it's going to go. And it might be one of several places. When people are just starting out, it's ideal for them to have like one place, like Evernote, for example. But I have probably like 16 different places an idea can go, but I can get it to that place in a couple seconds. So I never have to worry about that. And then if I need to get something done, I don't wait to figure out how I'm going to do it later. I have the resources at my disposal now in the form of our team, at least, where I can get things started no matter what. So the biggest thing I guess is just, I don't hesitate with anything, whether it's an idea, keeping track of an idea, finding out about it, or actually getting something done. So yeah, that's the main thing. It's just no hesitation, moving forward. And then once you make a decision that you're going to do that, then you have to have the avenues to do that.
I've always admired that about your business style and just your way of doing things. You really are a man of action. And sometimes that means just taking imperfect action. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah.
We have to have everything perfect in order to, move forward. But, the way that I've seen you work is there is a lot of spontaneity, and just, everything doesn't have to look and feel perfect. Just taking action is more important than paralysis by analysis. But I'm curious, when your business model has really shifted and evolved a lot over the past few years, and I see it constantly changing. And I'm curious as to how you make those decisions, and maybe what practices do you have in place? Like Pua and I, we have a weekly planning system that we put in place. So every week we're sitting down, we're reflecting, we're seeing, what needs to be tweaked in our business or in our personal lives. And that's how we make our changes. For you, what maybe reflective practices do you have in place? How do you make decisions based on where you need to take action, where you need to tweak things? And do you have a system in place for that? I assume you do.
Well, so there's a couple of things here. So, the first one is, if I have an idea, like I said, if I have an idea, I have a place to put that, and then I can sort of ruminate about that or figure out. The truth is, a lot of what my focus is, my unique talent, and really what I need to be doing as much as I need to be able to spend the most of my amount of time on, is creating and curating content. And I've said that for years, like that is my unique ability, is that if somebody asks me for an app that does X, I usually can tell them right off the bat. I don't have to look it up. Like I know what it is. I can also connect the dots very well. So if somebody needs an automation, I can figure out what the steps are. And then in terms of like writing and coming up with productivity concepts, like, so that is my main sort of unique ability, is to be able to focus on the content. So a lot of the ideas I have surround that, and that could be content for the public, content for our customers, or content for training our VAs on how to do something better. But when it comes to sort of the bigger picture things, I'm actually been very fortunate that I have such a good partner in Nick, because we're very similar in some ways in our personality, but we're very opposite in that particular one, which is where I am the quick start basically, and Nick is the more analytical researcher. So we fortunately have a very trusting relationship where I jokingly say that, you know, Nick just has to tell me what to shoot at, and then I'll hit the target. So I don't need to, I mean, and he and I brainstorm and come up with the big ideas all the time, but when it comes to the sort of the tactical aspects of it, I leave that to somebody who I think is better at it and who can do the analysis and can understand what makes the most sense, what to test, what to not, and then I can execute.
Cool. That's awesome. I think Kimi and I, we strive for that too, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking like, which one of us is
I know.
It is so great having a trusted partner, though. I mean, that makes a huge difference in business, because I'm not, you know, we're not micromanaging each other. I trust that, you know, what Pua moves on, her voice is very similar to mine in terms of content. It's really great to have a trusted team.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So you mentioned earlier that you got really into tracking and biohacking quite early on. And that's something that Kimi and I are also, we love to geek out on that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious,
have you seen this?
No. Tell us about that. What is that?
This is the Aura ring. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, I have heard about that.
So I just got this yesterday. They gave it to me to test out. It's actually really beautiful. It's
Wow.
we're recording video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here you can see a little better what it looks
It's
like.
very beautiful.
Yeah, and then inside, I don't know if you're able to see this. Hold on, let me see, you can see this. Yeah, see the sensors inside.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's really cool, and I'm testing it out. They gave me this one to test out, but it'll do heart rate variability testing for you, which is I think one of the holy grails of biohacking testing. And it's one of the ones that's, it's a little difficult to do it because you typically need to be like standing still or still to get an accurate heart rate variability test. So I wore this last night while I slept, and I think it was the most accurate sleep tracking I've ever seen, because a lot of times you'll see with the sleep tracker that it'll tell you like you took 15 minutes to fall asleep and you woke up this many times and stuff, but at least in my experience, it doesn't match up always. Like I always kind of feel like I fell asleep faster than that. Like I don't think I was tossing and turning for half an hour or whatever. This one was like to the minute when I looked at the clock, like last night, and then like when I looked at the clock this morning. So that was pretty cool. And it will tell you, which is interesting about like peak time. So based on heart rate variability, this will tell you how ready you are for the day. And if you're not very ready, then you shouldn't make it a very challenging day. For example, like you shouldn't be doing hardcore like physical training, or maybe doing, putting yourself under a lot of stress at work, for example, if you can control that, whatever extent you can. Otherwise, it could be like, hey, you got a lot of rest, you're like at 100%, go like run through a wall. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is like the latest thing I'm testing on.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
So that's one, and then so I'm assuming you'd like to know some other things that I've been playing around with.
If you want, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a really cool hormone test called the Dutch hormone test, which stands for Dry Urine Test of Comprehensive Hormones. And so there's the amount of times I've put bottled fluids into packages to send off to other states and countries is like I can't count at this point. So, but this one I have to say is like the most accurate I've seen that you can do from home. So it's very interesting. What you do is you pee on a piece of paper, or it's like a special paper, 5 times. And I think it was like twice, or it was like once before you go to bed, and then the other 4 times for the next day. And it's shocking how detailed the information you can get in terms of your cortisol levels, your DHEA, estradiol, all the sex hormones, all of them throughout the day, which is one of the places that a lot of tests fail is it's sort of a snapshot in your mind. So, it's like when you have to fast before you do a blood test. I mean, that makes sense because they need to get your fasting glucose and stuff. But at the same time, if you're not normally fasting, there's things about that are not quite accurate. So this is a 24-hour picture. And one of the most interesting things from that is I think is that you get your cortisol levels. Your cortisol is supposed to be very high in the morning and then go down throughout the day. And on not just this test, but other tests that I've done, I always tend to have a big spike in cortisol around between the 4 and 6 o'clock hours, whatever. And the standard language of the testing comes back with always is like either you're eating too many carbs at that point, or you actually are experiencing stress. And anybody who's listening who has kids can probably attest the fact that 4 to 6 o'clock is like the worst time of the day to be a parent.
Like the witching hour.
Yeah, exactly. The witching hour. So that's probably why my cortisol levels are up there, and then they come back down. But it also enables, so now I have some supplements that I'm playing around with to help with regulating cortisol. But so the Dutch hormone test is really cool, and it's the kind of thing, it's urine, so you can do it every month if you want. It's not a big deal, and you can do it from home. So that one's pretty cool. The Oura Ring, and then there was one other thing. Ben Greenfield has a product called Nature CBD. Which is cannabidiol. It's the non-psychoactive component of marijuana, and it also has lemon balm, which is the oldest nootropic. Socrates talked about it, and one other thing in it. But it's calm focus, which most nootropics are not about calm focus. They're just about sort of like not jittery, but a little more amped up focus. This is a calm focus, and I have to say, I've been using that for a while now, and I actually really, really like it. So there's 3 things.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, as you mentioned, you are a father. You're a father of 4. And we work with a lot of parents, and certainly one of the biggest challenges is that, as you talked about a little bit, that work-life balance struggle. A lot of people feel like they either are having to sacrifice work time or having to sacrifice family time. And do you have any tips specifically for parents when it comes to leverage or less doing?
Yeah. So first of all, they have to give themselves a little bit of slack, honestly, because I think that thinking that you have to come, okay, so people who think that they have to come home and then they have to shut off their brain to work, if they're doing something they love, that's not realistic. And whether you believe it or not, that will harbor some sort of resentment, probably towards maybe not necessarily towards your kids, but probably towards your spouse. If you're resenting being at home because you're trying not to think about the great idea that you have. And the truth is that, so I don't really believe in a work-life balance. I think it's a work-life integration. And it's an important little nuance because I get some of my best ideas for work and for productivity when I'm with the kids, because I have to, if I'm holding a baby, for example, and I have to do everything with one hand, that restriction in itself actually is kind of interesting to me and makes it so you have to sort of figure out other solutions. It's something as simple as for the first time ever, I bought an electric can opener, because every morning I have to open the can of food for the dogs. And if I have Chloe in my arms, it's really difficult. So, and that, honestly, that makes my life a little bit easier. So, but I come up with ideas for the business. I have things that come up, and I think about my kids when I'm at work. So I said before that I compartmentalize really well, and I do. But if those thoughts sort of creep in, a lot of people tend to feel bad about that. It's I shouldn't be thinking about work. I think that you have to give yourself a little break. First of all, that's one thing. But then the other thing about it is that the more and more things that we can do. So there's a couple of things. One is the more and more things that we can do asynchronously, the better. So email is an asynchronous tool. Slack is certainly an asynchronous tool. The Roger app, which I love, I don't know if you guys know it well, but Roger app is it's basically a walkie-talkie. So it's one of the main ways that Nick and I actually communicate. We rarely do phone calls together. It's almost always done through Roger, and so it's asynchronous, which means that he can send me a 3-minute long audio talking about something, and I can be with the kids. And then if I get a minute to go to the bathroom, or I'm walking in the stroller or whatever, I can, on my own time, I can think about it and I can process it, and then I can say something back to him, and we can actually keep the conversation going. So there's no delay, and it works on our time. And also I don't feel like I have to hold on to things to deal with them later, which is a big one. because we just have such a limited working memory. And even if you can write something down on a piece of paper, that'd be great. But a lot of people don't do that. They just try to like hold on to it and go over and over and over it. And then you end up missing out on your life basically because you're like trying to hold on to that one idea. So the asynchronous communication is a big one. But the other thing that also allows you to do is work with something like a virtual assistant or some other service where things can be happening while you're doing something else. So whether that means that while you're at work, you're making sure that like groceries are being delivered, or that the house is being cleaned, or that whatever it might be, that's something. And then while you're at home, if you know that somebody is researching for your next business idea, or putting together, or sending out social media blasts, or arranging podcast guests, whatever it might be, like you can have these things be in motion so that you're not actually doubling yourself, of course, but you are getting those things done as if there were two of you. So yeah, that's the main one. I would say that having a support structure in place, like a virtual assistant, doesn't have to be, but that's a pretty good one. And also being able to do as much as you can asynchronously really, really helps.
Love that. I think a really great example of your work-life integration is I love your videos when you've got Chloe in the front carrier and you're sharing productivity tips. I'm like, it's so awesome. Love it.
Yeah, it keeps me on my toes. Make sure that I never curse either.
You can just do earmuffs like this.
It's so awesome. And I think it would be a really hilarious meeting if you, me, Kimi, and Nick all got together. Like I listened to you and it just sounds like Kimi and I, we don't text each other anymore. We hardly even call each other. We Slack each other, and we'll just like toss things into Slack. And we have this great culture where like if I Slack something to Kimi, I know that if she's busy, I don't expect her to respond right away. It's just where we're putting things in the different channels to make sure that it's out of our brains and to our business partner, so that whenever we're ready to touch on it, it exists somewhere other than up here. So super cool. So I'm wondering if you'll share a little, just like a gentle tip with our listeners who might be like, oh, great. Yeah, this guy's been, all he does is study how to outsource and automate, and that's great for him. But like, I can't possibly do that in my life. We have a lot of people who are like, this is not reality for me. And so we'll coach them and we'll work through, easy steps to bring them a little bit closer to that reality, and show them that you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be an expert to implement some of these things, right? So what do you usually share with people who are just dipping their toe in this lifestyle?
Yeah. So like if somebody wants to get, well, okay, again, a couple ways to approach this. So one is that if you want to come up with like a way to sort of process ideas, that's a simple one, right? I mean, even as I said, a lot of people don't even do this, even a pen and paper, but a lot of people don't do that. So some way, getting in the habit of offloading your ideas, that's the first thing. It doesn't cost any money to do that. It's just a habit that you have to tell yourself, is that if you have an idea, write it down somewhere. And it doesn't have to be a good or bad idea. You can revisit it later, but guaranteed that the majority, especially those people, the majority of the time that they are coming up with the idea in that particular moment, it's probably not the best idea to think about that idea and actually work on that idea, right? Because it might happen at the supermarket. It might happen in a car accident, or like a fender bender or whatever. Like the ideas come out of all these different places, but the place that the idea comes from is not necessarily the best environment to actually process it. So that's the first one, is start doing that. And people are, I mean, it's amazing to see how much of their like mental resources they free up by doing that. So whether or not they actually take advantage of the idea, the fact that they've offloaded it, they're not thinking about it, they can free themselves up to do other things, and stress levels go down, control feelings go up. It's pretty magical. And then as far as like outsourcing, if people think that that's too expensive for them, there are tons of services that are completely free that let you do a lot of the stuff on a sort of a broken up basis that don't cost any money. And two good examples are Operator and Get Service. So Operator is a totally free app for people who live in the United States. And I don't think it's continental. I think it's a whole US. So you guys do. And actually, I don't know if you guys use Operator.
I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Operator is a free app, and in complete transparency, like our VAs will use Operator. So it's a free app just for buying things. So you open up the app, you say like, hey, I want like the newest, I don't even know, some video game or something. Or you can literally take a picture and be like, I saw these shoes on this woman on the street and I'd like them for my wife. And they'll find them, best price. They have your credit card and shipping information. They'll get it. And then they're responsible for returns as well. Totally free service. The other one that I mentioned is Get Service. So they will, for free, deal with any customer service like complaint issues. So you have a delayed flight, give it to them, they'll get you the $75 voucher from United Airlines or something like that.
Wow.
Or, you got a product that's effective and the company's not really helping out, they can take that over for you. All those kinds of things they can do. And if you just think about the time saved from waiting on hold on the phone, it's pretty easy to start showing people the value.
Wow. Love it. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Ari. This has just been, as always, so informative, and we're so grateful to you. And I mean, you really have, that is truly your gift, is like having all of this in your brain, being able to like just think of these apps, like, you are like, there's an app for that guy. I
think you should make a game where people like try to throw something at you that you can't think of in less than 10 seconds.
Right. Like
or 3 seconds.
A stump Ari game. I love that. Well, can you share with us, where can people find out more about you, what you're up to, find out more about your virtual assistants and any other programs you got going on?
So the best place to go is actually to go to getleverage.com. So that's where they can find out about the virtual assistants. That'll also have links to our books. Our latest book is called Idea to Execution, which is about how we built this company and have grown it. And we have 2 podcasts, the Leverage podcast, where we interview experts every week, and the Optimize, Automate, Outsource podcast, where Nick and I just sort of riff on the coolest productivity hacks of the week.
Cool. Again, I have one more question for you. So, you are, people, when they think of you, they think, you are living the fully optimized life. But can you share with our audience maybe something that might surprise us, like a place that you are inefficient, maybe consciously inefficient, someplace where you're, you consciously know that you're quote unquote wasting time, but you're enjoying it?
I
stumped him.
That's actually
like,
pretty
I don't
good.
do that. I don't waste my time.
I mean, I don't know. I guess sleeping. No. Where am I constantly wasting my time? That's a really tough one. Honestly, I feel like I use every minute of the day right now, and I could use even more time, as most people could.
Okay, well, I'll give you. I'll remind you of something that I heard that you said.
Okay.
And you had mentioned once that you enjoy grocery shopping, even though it's something that you could outsource. Is that still accurate?
Yes, it is. But I don't know if that. I actually, it's funny. I actually I kind of like shopping. Period. I mean, not for clothes, but for food and for things for the house and stuff. I actually do enjoy that. But yeah, I guess you could call that wasting time. But at the same time, to me, that's almost like my mindless retreat for a little bit. So
yeah, I really resonate with that, because I'll find myself, because I'm constantly working on, I've done your exercise where you create the manual of you and write down everything. And I'm like, gosh, I really probably could outsource grocery shopping, but I find it almost meditative, and I'll just walk up and down the aisles, and it's a way for me to decompress. And so I think it's interesting that.
I mean, one thing is we don't have a housekeeper or a nanny. So, I mean, we have, 4 kids, and so that's probably something. I mean, I know that's something that we could probably get some help with. But
well, you're certainly not wasting your time taking care of your kids, though, right?
No. The cleaning. So the cleaning is something where I really wish we could have a cleaning person, or at least a team, probably. But my wife's issue, which is a fair one, is that when we have a cleaning service or a maid come, that basically the kids destroy the house in 15 minutes later. So we get 10 minutes of enjoyment of that. So she'd rather just sort of clean a little bit constantly, which I don't think is the most efficient. But it's sort of where we're at right now.
Sure. I kind of struggle with this as a parent too, where I feel like the value that the kids, of teaching the kids how to clean by not outsourcing that is,
Yeah, that's
so
another
there's
thing
something
too.
for that too, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to keep working on my questions for my the next Stump Ari session that we have.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
It's so great
That
to
was great.
see you do
You
such
too, always.
wonderful things in the world. And yeah, so great to connect. So have a wonderful rest of your day.